Well, hello and happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to Elegant Sentiments Today. I'm Sheryl Abernathy, the owner of Elegant Sentiments, and this is our weekly card share number 82. And today, as you can see, I've got products from Lisa Horton's. I can say it, Lisa Horton Crafts and Spellbinders. I've got three of her inks, one of her metallic inks. It is the Ultraviolet, and then I've got two of her matte blending inks, Spiced Plum and Dusky Rose. So those are the inks that I'm going to be using for our project today. And then I have products from her Spellbinders Christmas release. This one is called Christmas Foilage, and it's got 12 different cutting dies in it. So we'll be using these to make our project. And then in that same release is the Lots of Circles stencil. So there's two stencils in here, and this is what we'll be working with for our project today. So it's not going to be a Christmas project. I just wanted to show you can use these products for anything, not necessarily Christmas. And so here is the project. It's a wishing you well. This uses one of her new sentiment stamp sets with coordinating die. So I didn't include that. It's actually not available here in the States right now, but it should be coming soon. But we can get the inks and everything else that I'm using here in the States. So this is the project, and we've got our project in a coordinated envelope to go with it. So we will go ahead and get started. I need to bring in my Ultimate 2 because we're going to do some inking, obviously. So let me get that out here. And then I've done some prep work. I need, what did I do for this one? Yep, I just had the A2 panel. I did the die cuts ahead of time, so I'll show you those shortly. But I did go ahead. I used a different sentiment from the one that's on the card. This one says, "Thanks a bunch." Get that to focus. And I just stamped that in the Dusky Rose ink, and then I heat embossed it with clear embossing powder. And then we're going to go ahead and ink up this panel for our card front. So I'll go ahead and put that down here. And let me pull out my stencils because I'm going to start with this circle here first. This circle, the solid circle, there's two. Let me show you these. Okay, so there's two stencils here. There's this one with a bunch of little circles on it, and then there's this one that has the 4 different size circles. So I'm going to use this bigger circle as a mask for the front of the card. And I'm just going to, my mat's not really tacky because I need to wash it. So I'm going to put some tape down. Actually, I'm going to tape the back side of it because I'm going to be inking the entire panel and I don't want it moving on me. So let me lift this up and put some tape back there, and hopefully that'll keep it moving because these stencils don't use the peg system. So doesn't matter what you use. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this stencil piece. I'm going to put a little bit of tape. I've got the tape that I used when I made my sample is still stuck on my Ultimate, so that makes it nice. But I'm just going to put this on here kind of where I want it to be in on the card front. So there's that. And then we'll just start with the ultraviolet, and I'm going to use a bigger blending brush, one of the 1-inch blending brushes. This one is from Spellbinders. Lisa also has a 1-inch blending brush, but I can't get it. So I'm just going to start blending around this circle with this color. And there's obviously going to be, oh, I was afraid to do that. I'm going to use my finger because I don't want that moving around. And I can get the ink off my fingers when I need to. So I just really want to get like a outer ring of the purple, and then I'm going to come back with the Dusky Rose. So I think that is that'll be good enough for what we're doing. And then I did ink a little bit, but we'll be able to cover that up. And so then I'm going to leave that on there. Let me put that back on, because I'm going to leave that on there even though I'm not going to be inking around that anymore. I just wanted that purple little burst there. And so I'm going to stick that back down. Well, maybe I will. I might need to put some new tape on it. Matter of fact, I think I will, just to be safe, because I definitely don't want to ink over that anymore. So I'm just going to add a little piece of tape there to keep that in place. And then I'm going to bring in the Dusky Rose and do the same thing, but I'm just going to kind of ink around the perimeter. So I've got another brush with my Dusky Rose. I'm going to ink it up, and then I'm going to take off most of the ink off of the brush, and then come in around those edges with the Dusky Rose and just blend into the purple that's there, but just a nice light coating. Just going all the way around. Not too heavy with it, but you want enough that you can actually see the two different tones on this panel. And I think that'll do it for this one. And then we're going to take our bubble stencil and lay it over top and just stencil lightly the bubbles in the center. And I'm not worried. I'll show you what I'm not worried about here in just a second. Let me go back, get my little piece. I'm inking it up and then taking off that ink and then just lightly going across the bubbles that are in the circle. So we'll have pink little circles inside our purple bubble. So we got pink and purple. And so I'm not worried right here where I move my stencil. I'm not worried about that, because if you look at the final card, most of that gets covered up anyway. So I'm not worried about that. Okay, so now here we go. I'll put the lid back on that. And that is really all of the inking that we need to do for this panel. So I'm going to move these inks out of the way and move my Ultimate out, and then we'll get to putting our card together. I've done quite a bit of die cutting already, because there's a lot of die cutting with this card, but goes pretty quickly, even when you're doing all the die cutting at the same time as you make the card. So move this out of the way and bring in my little project tray here. And so here are the die cuts that I've already done. And so these I just cut both of the panels of the flower, both of the pieces of the flower, and glued. If you look at the dies, it's these two. One is smaller and one is larger. So I just adhered the smaller one to the top of the larger one. And then these I cut out of glitter cardstock using this die. You cut two at a time, which is really nice because I used four for my project. And then this guy is this one that I cut out of white cardstock. And then these leaves, I cut 5 leaves out of this one. So I was able to cut 2 at a time. And so it didn't, you know, like I said, the die cutting went really quickly. And then this is the bud for the flowers that I did in a violet cardstock as well. So you could actually ink up some white cardstock if you didn't have this color cardstock, but I had that color, so I just used it. So that is the die cutting that I did ahead of time. So the only thing that we really have to do in terms of assembly is to add the buds to this flower stem. And so there should be down in here somewhere, there should be 5 little pieces, and they're all in here. And there's one big one, and there's 2 medium-sized ones, and the big one goes on the top. And then there's 2 medium-sized ones and 2 small ones. So it's easy to figure out what goes where. So I'll just kind of put them out beside where they go. That's a smaller one. And that's the medium one. And then here's the other small one. So we'll put this together first, and then go ahead and start putting things onto the card front. But I'll actually, after I do this, I'm going to adhere that panel to the card front before I start putting these other pieces. So the only thing, what I did, oops, it's coming out way too fast. Just want to make sure I just get a little teeny dot of glue on these, and then I pick up the white piece and add it to it. And you know, whatever process you find works for you, but that's how I opted to do it because I got big fingers. Okay. And big fingers and these little teeny pieces aren't always a good match, but that's okay. And you could always ink up the back of, or glue, put little glue dots on the back of the flower stem too. That's an option as well. But I really like seeing where the glue is going. And then if there's too much, I can take it off. Like this one I think has more than I want, so I'm going to pull some of that off. Okay, so I don't have to worry about it going over. And then I can just put this on top. Oops, watch my fingers. Well, there. Gotta watch where I put my hands when I'm doing this. So put this one on, and then go around and grab the other one. I try to get them all kind of connected and then straighten them out while they're still wet. And this one we got to flip it around. And it might need a little bit. No, I think there's still plenty of glue on there to hold that in place. And then I'll just go around and straighten them up. Make sure everybody is where I want them to be. And that's about right. Oops. Uh-oh. I just knocked this one off before it set. So let me put a little bit more glue. I'll just take this little bit here. And try and grab it like this. There we go. Okay, it's a little fiddly, but it's not too bad. And that's the fiddliest part of the whole project. Okay, so let me wipe this glue off before it sticks somewhere that I don't want it sticking. Okay, so we have our front panel. This is an A2 size card, so that's 4.25 by 5.5. And we're going to go ahead and put that onto the front of the card base and get that all burnished. And then we will put the other pieces together to make our sweet little thank you card. But this is, you know, like I said, change up the colors and it's not Christmas anymore. You can use it for anything. So it doesn't have to be sole purpose. And try and make sure I get that lined up on this edge. This is I pay attention more closely to this side edge because you can cut off and trim off if you need to anyplace else, but not on that side. So I always focus on the fold side when I'm adding my panel. And I'll have some trimming to do up top when I'm done. But I save that to the very last. Sometimes I don't even do it until I send the card out. Okay, so there we have that. And then the next thing we want to do is put down our, well, I want to ink up these white flowers because I don't want that stark white. So let me bring in my Dusky Rose again and the Spiced Plum. So I just took the Dusky Rose ink and just inked up the petals from the outside going in. And if you like doing inside going out, that's fine. And if you don't want ink, that's fine too. But just adding a little color so that it's not completely white. And inking them up, inking up the die cut petals. And then for this one, go a little lighter. And then I'm going to cut one of them in half. Now you could do 3 die cut so that you have 3 flowers, but I didn't really want that many. So I just did one and I'll cut one in half once I get my flower down. Okay, so I think that's it for the pink. And then I'll just take a little teeny brush, detail brush, and add some Spiced Plum to those tips. And if you don't want the 2 colors, just one is fine. But I just wanted a little bit of variation in the color. Don't need a whole lot because this is such a deep color. And I'll tell you, I am glad to see the end of this day. I'm hoarse because I have literally been talking all day long. I've been on the phone for work all day, and my voice says so. So I apologize for the scratchy voice today. And let me blend that out just a little bit. Okay, that'll be the one that I cut. Okay, so we've got some color on our flowers. And then I kind of like to do a dry run before I actually start gluing things down. So I just take all my pieces and just play around with them and see where I want them on my card front before I start gluing. And I know already, since I've done this, that I want 2 pieces up top. But I know I don't want a piece this long, so I'm gonna give it a little chop here. And same for these other 2 that are up here. Then, okay, so I got those kind of where I know I want them to be. And then this one I'm going to have coming down this way. I may not need, I'm going to wait before I cut that one because I'm not really 100% sure yet. Okay, and so then I know that I want my 3 of these to go up here. So I'll put them there. Let's see. Let's move this one over a little bit. Kind of looking, I'm probably going to cut this one down. I'm thinking. So let's just give that a little trim. And put this on the outside of this one. And this one, we'll put one kind of in between these 2 and this one over here. So that's kind of what the top is going to look like. And then we'll have our flower. And put that there. And then this one, I'm going to cut it in half and stick part under each side. So I'll stick this one under here. Not like that. Maybe. Maybe, maybe not. There we go. And then I'll stick this one over here. Like so. And like I said, if you want, you can do 3 full flowers if you don't want the half flower thing going on. And then I'll add these 2 pieces. And I think we'll be good to go. This, I am going to cut this because this is longer than I want. So I'm going to cut that down. Now that I have things kind of situated, I'll cut that down, and then I'll cut this one down a little. And this one too. So there we go. So we'll do that. And that's kind of what we're going to look like, sort of. Obviously, we'll make it a little prettier, but that's the way we'll go ahead and adhere these. So I just started by putting down my layers the same way I organized them until I get to my flowers. Okay, I don't want to mix these up. too much. Okay, so I'll just add some glue, and I'm only gluing the very tip of these pieces because so that I'll have some room to adjust and adapt as I need to. And I know that I want this first one to be a little off center, but towards the top. And then we'll put this flower down, or this leaf, I guess is what this is. And then we'll put this one down. And we'll fill in with a leaf set here, I think. Yeah, that's what I want to do. Now let's stick this in between. So let's move this one over just a little. So we've got some space in between there, like that. And I like using glue, obviously, because you have a lot more wiggle room, which you're going to need when you're doing something like this. And we've got this guy going. Kind of there. So that's our top. And then I'm going to mount one with foam tape, the single one with foam tape, and then I'll just kind of slide the other half pieces underneath it. So I've got some foam squares here, and I'll just stick, actually I only need one. I'll stick it more in the center. Well, maybe I will. These things do grip very well. I'll stick it more in the center, and then that way I've got room to play around the edges for my other half pieces. And I'll just use my fingers to flip these up. I hope you're having a good day today. And thank you for watching on replay. I appreciate that so much. Okay, and then we'll just add some glue to our half flowers and stick them in. And I'm just putting a teeny bit on the back towards the bottom. It gives me a little room to wiggle them around some and get it underneath there, because we don't want it to look like it's a half a flower. We'll just push that up like so. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Adding just a wee bit of glue and pushing it under. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and add our other leaves towards the bottom. So this one does come together pretty quickly. And we can put this here. And if I had to do this over again, I would move it down just a wee bit, but it's fine where it is. I want to lift this up underneath. Let's see. I want this underneath this other flower over here. So I'm going to lift that up and then slide this under like that. And then this piece, I think I'm going to go under here. Maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know if I like that well. I really want to, I wonder, let's see. That's under there pretty good. How about here? Yeah, that's good. We'll just put it there. Leave it right where I had it. No need to change up. And just slide that in a little bit underneath this one. There we go. Okay. So that looks pretty good. And then we'll add some glue to our sentiment. And we'll put that down. Oh, I missed our little bunches. Let's see. You gotta stick this in here. Put that right about there, I think. Okay. Yep, that'll work. I almost forgot about this one. And we're going to slide that down in there like so. Give it something to stick to. There we go. All right, and then so we'll add some glue to our sentiment. And put that down here. I usually look before I add glue, but we're living dangerously today. Okay, so I think that's it. Then the next thing and the final thing, I'm going to add some little embellishments. I'm using Spellbinders Fashion Oyster self-adhesive embellishments for this. I'm going to use 3 for the center of the flower. Oops, got knocked over my glue. So I'm going to put 3 for the flower center, and then I'll put 3 around the flower. Do my fluffing, refluffing. And then I'll just put 3 of these around my little flowers. And we'll be able to call this one done. How about right there? Okay. So then we add in our, I did go ahead and use the Lots of Circles stencil to add some violet circles to my card flap. And that will complete the project. So there you go. This again is the Festive Foliage Circles by Lisa Horton for Spellbinders, the Christmas Foliage die set. And I also use the lots of circles stencils. This is one of them. I don't know where I put the other one, but there's two stencils in this set that I used for this project. So thank you so much. I hope that you like the project. If you do, please give me a thumbs up. And if you don't, give me some feedback. I appreciate positive and negative feedback. It all helps me be better. So I thank you so much for being here. Thank you if you're watching this remotely or after the fact. I appreciate you stopping by. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week and a fantastic weekend. And hopefully, you'll get some time to craft a little kindness of your own this week. Thank you again for watching and have a wonderful week. Remember, live graciously, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.